Boom! I believe we are live from the apocalypse. The greatest apocalypse. It's an incredible apocalypse. But we wanted to whittle it down. Free Music Empire, State of the Game, Part 2. We are, Volume 2, we are talking about two specific things today. We wanted to launch into it in case, do you have any prior business based on the last one you wanted to follow?
No, man. No, you're the chairman, man. Let's do this.
K DIggy and Dano are here. So let's do it. We're talking about, and I just said this to you via the Instagram.
Okay.
Jhene Aiko, Chilombo. I don't follow sales numbers that closely, but it was the #1 R&B album in Billboard.
Wow.
It was #2 in the country.
You know, I mean, she's got a pretty big following, so yeah, I could see that.
It was incredible.
Not surprised.
They said that the last R&B singer, female R&B singer, yes, female R&B singer to debut that high was Lemonade.
Oh yeah, but Beyonce's pop. She's not like real R&B anymore. She's pop now to me. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the first time an R&B singer's been on top in a long time.
It's and it's an interesting album. It's a really interesting album, and I wanted to talk about. There's just a lot of different aspects to it. So first of all, Jhene Aiko has 4 projects dating back to 2014, sold out.
Okay.
All of them are very good. There isn't really one that sticks out as being a clunker. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard. There are songs that are not my cup of tea, but I've never heard of a clunker. I've never heard her on a clunker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this one is 20 songs deep. It's not a short album. The guest features are incredibly interesting. They are one of my topics for today. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know how many albums have had John Legend and Ab-Soul.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
John
not
Legend,
even a Venn diagram. That's not even a thing.
I mean, he's getting that voice money too, so he's not just gonna hop on anyone's track either, you know.
So John Legend, Ab-Soul, Nas, Ty Dolla $ign, Future, Miguel, Her, and Big Sean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a real interesting album. What are your thoughts on it as you've listened to it?
I mean, I gave it another listen today, and I mean, what sticks out to me is the growth from her debut album was Sold Out, correct?
Yep.
And I bought Sold Out from the day when people used to buy CDs. Like, I went Best Buy and I bought it the day it came out on a Tuesday, when release days were on Tuesdays. And you know, I liked it, and there was some great tracks on it, but to hear the growth from Sold Out to Chilombo is just incredible, man.
So you and me would both agree this is the best coordinated set of Jhene Aiko songs, right? This is like this. This is
just her alone. Yes. Yeah. Yes, because I do love 2088, but no, this is the best. This is when you say, you mean like, is this her best album? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and beyond best, I think this is like, if someone was like, who's Jhene Aiko? What do I need to know? You would say, just get Chilombo. Just go into Chilombo.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
It will give you everything.
Absolutely.
And yeah, 2088 is the collaboration with Big Sean that first let the world know that they were having sex. right? If you look, there's no way. That was there were specifics of how people interact when they are, it was just, I don't know. They were really, they were into it. And,
Yes, yeah, that's
and it wasn't like I
very
listened
true.
to it and I was like, ooh, they're having sex. I listened to it and was like, I hope they're having sex.
They probably have
Life
good
is too
chemistry.
short.
Yeah, I mean,
Life
if
is
they're
too short
not,
to put that album together with somebody that looks that good and just walk away. Enjoy yourself. Anyway, um, and I want to pause on Big Sean for a minute because he's my least favorite part of this album, without question.
right? But no. My least favorite part is whatever Future was rapping. I mean, that was
Ooh,
just.
Future's
But
got an incredible feature on this thing. It was like
oh,
in the beginning of it, he's like, I just want a girl who wears yoga pants, and by the end, he's like, I will lock you in a dungeon.
I mean, he got when he started comparing himself to Jesus Christ, and said, "I just want you to worship me." It just got a little bit. I got
Yeah,
very uncomfortable.
it was like, okay, this is going to be a weird one, but it felt like the Robert Browning poem, My Last Duchess, from
Okay.
1841. Uh, it's one of the best poems in terms of the structure of it. It is this kind of king in his castle. Someone's
Okay.
coming to give him like a message, and he points to the wall and goes, "That's my last duchess." And he gives a bunch of clues that he killed her.
My gosh.
That's how that verse felt to me. So it was really, I loved the Future verse because that's his oeuvre. Um,
I mean, it was out of nowhere for me. I mean, it was, Miguel. He's talking about, look, you can just be yourself. If you wanna act on that, act on it. And Jhene's like, you know what? Maybe I'll act on it. And then Future came out of. I have no idea where
what I
he was going
respect
with
about it is you rejected what was happening. That song lined up to be a competition of the R&B voices, right? Like
Yes.
Miguel, Jhene, Future, all trying to smooth it out, and he came in there and just destroyed that whole thing. Nope, go a different way. Um, but yeah, no, it's understandable that was jarring. That is jarring. But None of Your Concern is a very personal song. It's very much about their breakup, and they're on it together. And
Yeah.
had a real
Yes.
chance to do something important there, and she is serious on this song. And he comes in and says, "And if you find my replacement, how could you? I made you come 9 times in one day. Your two lips should come in a vase. You rode my face." That must have taken all night.
Oh shit. See,
I
I didn't even pick.
realize,
I didn't even pick up on that the first time you like I heard it. So thank you for allowing me to pick up on that two lips bass line.
I realize you look as good as you taste. Yeah, fingers all in your mouth. I'm grabbing you up and digging you down.
Oh,
It's awful. It is classic. Big Sean can't control yourself. Drunk on words. Too much.
but I think maybe she was probably in the studio while he was recording the verses, so he was trying to like drum up memories. You know what I mean? Like remember what we used to have, and I'm guessing it probably worked for him. You know what I mean? That's how I think about it as now that you read it. It's so weird when you read it. I think that he was like, look, he was in the studio and he was trying to. This was how he was trying to get her back.
I'll make the case. Nas and Big Sean are trying to do the same thing, right? Nas on,
So
Nas on
on
10,000.
10,000 hours.
Yep, Nas on 10,000 hours. Big Sean on None of Your Concern are both trying to do this thing that I don't like, where you want to express your feelings, you want to talk about a breakup, but
Mm-hmm.
you want to look as cool as you possibly can.
Hmm.
Difference is Nas is better, significantly better. So he he says stuff like, "Girl, I left my name tattooed in your brain." And it's like, okay, that's smooth. And Sean's like, "Oh, your lip should be in a vase. It came on your face." Ah, like, it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, damn, and you ruined that. Not like when you see it, it's funny when you read it out, like in the flow of the song. Like I was like, you know what? Okay, that's a very sincere. Like he's reflecting on his past relationship. But it's like what we were talking about a couple weeks ago with the read test. Like when you read it out without any like melody or anything, it's yeah, it's kind of cringy. Yeah, I agree. I can't disagree with that.
It is the way it is, but and it's not like Big Sean is terrible or whatever. Big Sean can do better than this. He can. And for part of the verse, he was, right? But then we turned that corner and he had to puff his chest out with his masculinity and whatever, dude. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he can't contain himself. I don't know why he always like you said, like he always starts out pretty strong and then he just says one line or something that just loses me, and then it's just downhill. It's just downhill from there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And it's weird because if you ever see a Big Sean interview, he is the nicest guy in the world. Like, just the nicest
Absolutely.
human being in the world, and seems just like a great guy. And he's just got this kind of stepbrothers humor that rears its ugly head. That's like 25% of him.
Yeah.
And I don't like that 25%.
I don't, but I mean, you're right. He's like, first of all, I do think he's a talented rapper. I do think he's a nice guy. But,
So,
yeah,
he's an unstable property. He's an unstable property. She's a stable property.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think that they're more alike because I think that they're both, as you know, I think they're both very sexual beings.
Right.
But Jhene, so that, I mean, I'm sure that's why they're also compatible. I watched an interview from Rap Genius. Did you see that interview where they were they did an interview in a lingerie store?
No.
Oh, yeah. It was it was a little bit much. But what I gathered from that interview is, I mean, she's a very sexual human being as well.
I've heard her interview before. She's very funny. She's very flirty.
Yeah.
She's got wild jokes on this that are really interesting and really funny. I put one of them in the chat here where I was like, what did she say? Some of y'all ain't never dated a real bitch, and it shows. Like, she's funny, man. She's funny. She's quirky. But she is sincere in a way he fears to be.
Agreed. Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
And this is what makes her stable property, right? So when I first heard that her single was Pussy Fairy, I was a little concerned. It's a strange title for a song. It doesn't seem to fit her oeuvre. I'm saying that a lot. Anyway, but it's a shockingly sincere sex song. It really is interesting. Like, I wrote down, that dick make my soul smile. That dick make me so proud. Like, how many people in the world could say that? And I believe them. Like, they're not clowning me. You know what I mean? She said it, and I was like, fucking Jhene Aiko, man.
But you know what? It could have been also for the context, and this is why it may have worked. So I'm looking at I took down notes. So the song before that was BS. With her. And so that was, and that was her liberating song. That's where she's like, you know what, I'm gonna do me.
I'm going out acting like I'm 17 years old again. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then right after BS was Pussy Fairy.
Right.
So it was easy to digest because it didn't come out of nowhere, because we know and that's what I like about this album. I'm sure we'll get into it, but it's very well thought out. Sequence, yes.
Very
Well thought
sequenced.
out in sequence. So she went to BS and then Pussy Fairy, and then right after that, HOE. So logically, it fits in, those three songs fit together. So like you can just relax and let go because you understand where it's going.
And this was one of my point about guests is I think she gets different stuff out of her guests than just about anybody. You know, that's such a non-traditional her appearance.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I mean,
like
you don't usually hear. I mean,
really
after the
was
Grammy, you don't usually hear
yeah.
her talk like that, like
Mhm.
she or rap or sing how she sung.
I feel like I know exactly what a her song is going to sound like.
Right.
I love her voice, and I love, you know, I just think at times she has had problems with not. I don't really know if this is this song or the next song. You know,
Yeah.
it just kind of goes,
Right.
which Jhene masterfully sidesteps here with like trying to smoke and
Yeah.
some of the best interludes I've heard in a long time.
Absolutely.
Um, and yeah, Summer 2020 is like the most necessary interlude um, this year. After
So when did?
20,000 hours, it is a total
Oh
calm
yeah.
down where she kind of works through the chorus again, works the rest of her thoughts out, and lets it trail off. It's a beautiful outro to that song.
And what it is us, because I was doing some research, and she kind of, what she said is that summer 2020, like every summer reminds her of her brother who passed away. So that summer 2020 was a dedication to him. So she kind of, and this is what I mean about it being thought out. Like, so she kind of flipped. So 10,000 hours is more about missing a lover.
Right.
And then summer 2020, she kind of flipped it, but it's about her missing her brother. And it's so subtle that, I mean, unless if you hadn't done the research, you wouldn't have picked up on it. Like if you
and I sent you that thing where somebody asked her what the hardest song to make was, and she said there were 10 different versions of each song.
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely.
She is, yeah. So this was worked. This is her most refined album. She just took it and said, "This is going to be special." So, what are your favorite songs on it?
Definitely 10,000 hours. I do, I do like Pussy Fairy and Ho. I went see now the first time I heard Pussy Fairy, that it was without the context, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit much a little bit too much for me. But when I heard it, and when you really listen to it into the context, you ease into the song. I don't even mind it.
It's for me, and it's Pussy Fairy is something she should be very proud of because it's not just a stretch for her, it's a stretch for a lot of people. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people couldn't pull that song off.
No.
But sometimes I just love people in their element, hitting their stride, and just enjoying that. And so 10,000 hours,
Yep.
Born Tired.
Oh yeah. That's an excellent one as well.
I can hear the guitar strings plucking at the beginning of Born Tired. Like it's a really great song.
And what I noticed about Born Tired is she returned to the voice that she used in Sold Out. I feel like in Sold Out, like a lot of the songs were, I guess you could call it like her inner conscience talking to her, like reassuring her. You know what I mean? Like she's got that voice, she's got that song mastered down where the inner conscious is talking to her, trying to like steer her through this life.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's a very specific voice, and all of the songs before that weren't you really utilizing that
Almost like a
particular
thought
voice.
bubble in a comic book or something. It's all like the character talking to themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Like the best way I could think of it is like a Venom, like a good Venom, like the comic book character Venom. You know what I mean? Like this is it's a voice inside of her talking to her and guiding her through. And she liked to use that voice, particularly with Sold Out. If you listen to the songs, what's that song the song that she had for her brother? I think it was called Ways. Why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you smiling? I mean, that voice was she kind of utilized the voice in that song as well. Like, but to kind of tie it up together, yeah. I mean, what is Born Tired was a return. It was like a callback to that.
She's and her voice is a real weapon on this thing.
Yeah.
It's very special. And I remember hearing it for the first time on all the TDE stuff, Absol's album, Schoolboy's album, Kendrick's album, and I mean she might be the best guest appearance on what people consider Drake's best album.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree with that.
She's incredible, and I'm so proud that she's made her own mark, that she hasn't just been one of those people who sings the hook and struggles to go out on her own.
Right.
Chilombo is something I talk about this in terms of it's better to be unique than to be the best, I guess.
Right.
Because as great as the top R&B women are, they couldn't do this album. Rihanna couldn't make this album. Beyonce couldn't make this album.
I agree with that. Because there's too much expectations. It's like when you get to be the best, you've got that pressure to keep being the best weighs on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying in the chat room, what an incredible end to this album, man. This album ends with "Party for Me" with Ty Dolla $ign.
With Ty Dolla, yeah.
And it's this reflective song about like what you should do when I pass away. And she says she says things like cry until you start laughing. And then so she's really introspective on it, and then she lets Ty Dolla $ign come in and flex, and he says, "I'm a sex symbol. I should be on the cover of Playboy," and she just starts laughing. That's the end of the album. The laugh ends the album. The end of the album is her laughing at an insane Ty Dolla $ign line, and just moving on. She can keep it fluid like that, with no pressure, and surprise people and make choices, because she's got the freedom that a lot of these people don't have, and the gusto to really grab what she wants.
Yeah. And I mean, the reason why that laugh pays off is because, think of it, the first song on the album was Triggered.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a very intense song. Yeah. And so we go through this path with her, from the breakup to, self-actualization. Like, she's going to start relying on herself. She has her liberation, like her liberated phase, where she goes out and does what she wants, or otherwise known as the hoe phase. But and then after that, she's had her share of the pleasures. Now she's starting to reflect on, like, what does it mean? Like, what was the song? One Way Street. One-Way
Oh
Street.
yeah, that's cool. Yep, yep.
So now she starts reflecting on, okay, what does all this mean? What does all this mean? Like, how can I move on from, because there's still lingering impacts of this breakup. How can I move on from that?
Right.
And then near the end of the album, like the last two songs, I believe are, let's see, what is it? What are the last two songs? I mean, I think Pray. Is it Pray for You? Is that the
Party for Me is the last song.
And what's the song?
There's the John Legend song, right?
Yep.
And
Thunder and
then
Lightning, is it?
yeah, it's there's a few here.
Pray. I didn't write down the Pray song, but the song where she lets go.
Magic Hour.
Huh?
Magic Hour.
Yes.
Lightning
Yes.
and Thunder, Magic Hour, Party for Me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. And so, she lets go, and then she's able to relax, and then we're able to have that big triumphant moment at the end of the album with the song with Ty Dolla.
Yeah. She's able to kind of have her fun and her reflection at the same time.
Yep. Yep.
She smoked on it. She's thought about it.
Yep.
She's done all that she needs to do to get the wiggles out and just be herself. And she found the end of it. And it's crazy, man. And the last point I think I would make on it is, I mean, when I was listening to this, I listened to it a lot. Working alone at 5:30 in the morning, just listening to it. And it really affected my mood, man. It was really like vulnerable and like feeling the emotion. Like by the end, like it would be 6 o'clock in the morning and I'm listening to Triggered and I'm fist pumping. Like, it was, and I was like, wow, this is a really interesting effect that this has, because this isn't like a show-stopping album. First listen to this isn't gonna you're not gonna be like, wow, like a Frank Ocean.
Yeah. No, I agree, because it didn't stick out to me because it's one, like, I wasn't attentive as I should have been the first listen. I mean, there were obviously
or something like that, right?
Huh?
It came out like March 18th or something like that, or March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, was it March? Yeah, was it March? Man, yeah. This whole quarantine, I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, it came out, and I listened to it the day of, and there were obviously 10,000 Hours, BS, were like standouts to me, but it really, the impact, the full album didn't hit me until I just sit down and really listen to it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like really listen and like turn off all distractions and just sit with it and listen with it and see where she was going. And I mean, that's the biggest compliment you can give to an artist, is that, I really sat down with your album and listened to it.
Yeah, that it becomes a part of your day-to-day, that it becomes something that matches the times that I'm living in, right? Mm-hmm. It's the perfect background. So the last point is my Ludwig Wittgenstein point, right? Mm-hmm. Philosopher, made a game-changing book in 1929, and in it, he was fascinated with math and made like a kind of mathematical philosophy book. And one of his points is an object is equipped with all possible solutions. Objects contain the possibility of all situations.
Okay, right.
So, basically, a broken bicycle isn't different from bicycle. Bicycle means broken bicycle. It means yellow bicycle. It means all of the possible things that could happen to a bicycle, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about this regarding Chilombo, that Chilombo really does include all possible situations emotionally. It is funny. It is menacing, right? She's triggered, like I might just go crazy on cuz, I might just be covered in
Right.
your blood. Like it it's super genuine, it's tender, it's frisky and sexual.
Absolutely.
It feels like it includes every possible situation of
Yeah.
its journey.
Yeah. I mean, what I liked about it, because you sent me the quote, and I was listening to the album under the context of that quote. And what I liked about it is that, you know, she took this, and this is what she does better than I think a lot of artists, maybe even R&B artists. She took this subject of relationships, right?
Yep.
And we're not examining it from one specific viewpoint, one specific angle. Because I mean, and I think she kind of plays it that way. When you hear Triggered, you think, because Triggered's the first song, you think, oh, okay, I know where this album's going. This is gonna be where this is gonna be like one of those ones. What's her name?
Like
Tink.
a police,
I don't
like
want to throw
a
shots at Tink.
police
This is
album.
gonna be another Tink album.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way, as in, you know, the revenge, the scorned lover, like you did me wrong.
You're right.
But the way that was almost like that's how she fooled. That was the trick she was playing on, is because you could see like she was examining this relationship that she had. I'm presuming she wrote about Big Sean.
Right.
She was examining this relationship, this breakup, from different angles. You know what I mean? And she didn't just take the scorned lover approach. She was like, you know what? Let me figure out what happened here. Let me examine what happened here without me tying my emotion into it. You know what I mean? Like, let me objectively view what happened.
Right. It's like, what do I want as a person? How do I become a healthy person again?
Yes.
And it walks you through the steps of recovery. And in that sense, at 20 songs, it doesn't actually feel too long.
No.
So that's an achievement in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you haven't heard it, Jhene Aiko Chilombo. I thought it was a silly title. It's her last name. It's her real last name.
And then another fact I learned is that Chilombo actually means wild beast.
That's awesome.
So that it kind of ties into what we're saying, like, because what you're saying is that, you know, you can be a beast but also be beautiful at the same time.
Right.
So
It's a very West Coast concept. I love it.
mm-hmm.
So the to go rocking the West right now. We're talking. I wanted to talk because I had a like one of my declarations here about the game, as the game's album Doctor's Advocate. Was it 2005, 2004?
I believe it was 2000, maybe 2006.
Okay. It's the biggest upset victory in hip hop.
Okay, so go ahead, and now when you say upset victory, what do you mean? What's the context?
So basically, cannabis is an easy example, right? There's an artist who's the most powerful in the world, right? Has connections you couldn't imagine throughout the industry, right? They give you an important placement and then you fall out with them. What they do is they bury you. And if it's not like the Lord Finesse era, like of rap, then the way they bury you is they call their industry people and they kill your shit.
Mm.
When Jay was feuding with Mobb Deep, he called people. He called people and said, if you play this shit, you don't get me.
Mm.
He called lots of people and he deaded their shit. And they never sold like that again. That's what you do. It's just absolute power corrupts kind of thing, right? Like it's that doesn't matter how nice you are. If you can
Right.
squish your opponent, why wouldn't you squish your opponent?
Right. I mean, hip hop is it's almost. I mean, it's one of the fascinating fields where there's a lot of different levels that blend in. Like, yes, this is how they make a livelihood, but there's also a lot of strategy involved in the game of hip hop.
And there was tons here, even more than normal, because like we use cannabis. There was an interview where Method Man was like, that's LL just being a dick. Like LL just went overboard in his reaction. But with 50, there was calculation there. It was like, you can't leave witnesses, you can't leave collateral damage. So once he says what he says in that radio station and the fallout happens, I think someone was put in the hospital. Like Game's people came down and
Right.
there's the thing. Once that happens, he can't release Game from his contract. Can't do it.
Right.
Do you know why?
I mean, Game is the biggest, one of the biggest. He's what?
Think like 50 for a second. Why couldn't he just release him from his contract and be like, get the fuck out of here?
Because he's making money off of him, right?
50's got enough money. It's fine with me. He's diamond at that point. It's because Irv Gotti still exists.
Huh. Okay, go ahead. Proceed.
Think of how powerful 50's enemies were at that point. He was beefing with Nas. He was beefing with Jadakiss. He was beefing with huge people, Fat Joe, Terror Squad. He releases Game. People line up around the block to sign him.
Yeah.
He just went platinum. He's got the coast on his back.
Right.
No way. No way. Talk about trading away a player within your division. Wasn't going to happen.
Good point.
Right?
Good point. Good point.
So, he didn't do that. Instead, he keeps him on the contract and deads his connections inside the building. We're talking about, sure, you'll be here. You just won't get a budget. You just won't get push. You won't get the radio play I'll get. You won't get any of this.
Right.
I will take the air out of you bit by bit by bit. You will die a slow death. No one will remember you. So that was his plan. And it was, I mean, it's hard to express how profitable he was, how important he was, and how completely oppositional his talent is from Game. Both are very talented in completely different ways.
Right.
50 is the king of like hooky kind of stuff.
Right.
I've heard mixtapes from 50 that sounded like they should have been radio hits. How did you get this way? And Game sounds like he's in a freestyle battle against the person he hates the most all the time. So these are two completely different talents, right? And it's why they work together when they work together. When they're together in a song, it's great. But he doesn't just survive it. Doctor's Advocate is called the best rap album of 2006 by the New York Times.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like number 6 overall for them of that year. It launches him. One Blood is everywhere. He's back, and I was really struck by the people on this album.
Yeah,
I'll go over it here. The production list: Kanye West, Mr. Porter, Just Blaze, Scott Storch, Knots, High Tech, and will.i.am.
Yeah.
There's just, you know, he was excommunicated from G Unit for being disloyal by being clear that he wouldn't take up the beefs 50 Cent stirred up on Piggy Bank. Uh, Fat Joe, Nas, Shine, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Also, my beef here with 50 on that side is 50 Cent also claimed he wrote hooks for documentary and he would have preferred to work on his own project. That's nonsense. How many times have you sat down and wrote for Tony Yayo because he sucks?
Uh,
You know what I mean? Like oh, I'm sorry.
okay, so when you say it's nonsense, what do you mean by it's nonsense?
So he's running a label.
Mm-hmm.
He's the biggest. He's diamond on the label.
Right.
Guess what he's got to do? Give people verses, give people hooks, give people hits. That's what it is.
Right.
So it's not, you know, this is, if you didn't want the job, you shouldn't have taken it.
And let's be clear. I mean, he did excellent work on documentary.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They did excellent work.
I don't actually believe that explanation at all. I don't think he.
Right.
Yeah. No. It was basically, I can't have anybody on my team in my foxhole who won't do exactly what I say. Right.
Right.
Commander in chief. That's it. So.
And you can't have your underlings be seen as equal to you.
And if you ever watch the interviews, they're very similar people, 50 and Game.
Yep. Yeah.
Weirdly
I can see that.
They're very nuts, and it was obviously not going to work long term.
No.
Sorry, but 50 Cent has a different mentality. It's very important to state this than every other person who's ever been on top, right? Big Daddy Kane didn't have the same mentality when he was on top. Jay didn't have the same mentality when he was on top. Dre, same deal. Like, just didn't have the same mentality because it's 50 was not. He was not a worker. If you read these people, a lot of the rappers' biographies, they were drug dealers. They were workers. They spent 12 hours on the block selling.
Mm-hmm.
They were workers.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite person to describe this is a young Mo, a gentleman from Baltimore named Young Mo. Some great stuff about being a worker there. But 50 was not a worker. He was driving around in the Testarossa checking on people. He was middle management. He was middle management or above, like senior management. Like
Right.
he comes from a mentality where I can't let you take my block. Period.
Right.
Not giving that money back. So when I remember when Eminem came on the MTV Music Awards and said, you know, I signed this new artist, 50 Cent. And this was back when people watched the MTV Music Awards together. And I remember me and my roommates, and I looked and said, I pointed at the TV and said, everything is fucked up now. This is all going to change now. And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, this dude is not like these other dudes.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
This dude got stabbed in the club, made it, and then came back and made a song that wasn't assault, that was an insult. You know, like he was nuts. So anyway, the fascinating thing I was thinking about here was, first of all, the Game is a super crazy person. Can we get to that? Game nonsense. I have a part of my research that's just called Game nonsense. Are you ready for Game nonsense?
Yeah, let's hear it.
He was arrested for punching an off-duty police officer during a basketball game.
Wow.
He was arrested at the Four Seasons Mall in Greensboro for criminal trespass, communicating threats, and disorderly conduct. He then later got sued and lost for manipulating the footage to make it look like the arrest was brutal for a documentary that he attached to one of his albums.
Wow.
I just remember that. It might be the thing I remember most about the crazy Game stuff is like, Game is the kind of guy who gets arrested shirtless in the mall.
He was shirtless?
Oh yeah. Yep. Shirtless in the mall, arrested. That's the
And
Game.
when you say Greensboro, you mean Greensboro, North Carolina?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, Now, if you're sitting there thinking, look, the country's racist, the arrests are racist, they're targeting rappers, it's fair. It's fair. But let me give you this one. Let me give you this one. Along with 4 other people, he assaulted his cousin at his sister's funeral. His cousin says he confronted him about not paying his portion of his sister's funeral.
Wow.
Yep.
For the record, Game, if you're watching this, man, you're one of my favorite rappers. Like, I don't have any beef with you, man. Just love you, man. I don't want any problems with you. Like, you're a great
And
rapper, man.
the Game will take this with a grain of salt. He's a lovely man. He makes fun of Tupac's lyrics sometimes. He's made fun of everybody you can imagine, right?
Absolutely.
On the Doctor's Advocate, he has that New Orleans line that's insane. Do you remember this?
Which one?
Where he says like, it's like, I'm gonna flood you like New Orleans, and he's like, no shots. I love the NO, and I'm like, that's a shot. What's wrong with you? That's the Game, right? And I was yes, this guy, who was arrested at his sister's funeral for beating up his cousin, not only outlasted 50 Cent, but his last album had Ed Sheeran on it, for fuck's sweet sake. He can work with anybody he wants to.
Oh. What? I mean, what I'll say is he's got one of the best social games in hip hop.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting because when I hear him rap, like, I don't think, wow, this is like a really personable dude. You know what I mean? Like, this is someone like I'd want to like hang out with, but obviously in real life he's got to be. I mean, he's got to be likable enough that these people want to work with him. Because, like you said, he's gotten. I mean, if you look at the guest list on Doctor's Advocate, I mean, he's got a 2006, 2007, whenever it came out. He's got a who's who of who's hot in that year.
And he works with a lot of them over and over again. He works
Yeah.
with Kanye West a bunch of times. He works with the biggest guys in the world over and over again. There's definitely a professionalism amongst all his personality traits. There's no question about it, right? But one of the aspects of this that I wanted to talk to you about was the West Coast wouldn't let him die. That's what happened. Look at the guest list.
Okay.
Right? Nate Dogg, Snoop Dogg, Dog Pound, Exhibit, West Coast, like pioneers, veterans, literally all the death row people except for Dre.
Right. Even Scott Storch, Scott Storch was like the underlying of Dre, right?
Right.
That was
Busta Rhymes on the album.
Yeah, Busta. I forgot.
On the title of it. Okay. I mean, who's not West Coast, but he was on Aftermath at the time. So
right.
It was the West Coast wasn't going to let him die because what had happened a little before this, and you could see this happen after Tupac died, was people took the West Coast sound and digested it. And you now heard people from Virginia sounding like they were from the Bay. People it cannibalized the regional sound.
Mm-hmm.
There's a series of like, have you seen the Beef DVDs or the Beef
No.
specials? They're a hoot. But one of them has this interview with Snoop where he like looks right at the camera and is like, "Y'all are jacking our shit. You know, you've got drop tops in your video, you got hydraulics on your Cadillacs in the video. We're coming for all that shit. It's ours."
Mm-hmm.
They were very aware of it. West Coast rappers had conferences about it and shit. Like, it was a big thing. They were getting cannibalized, and the numbers bear this out. If you go back to like 2003,
Mm-hmm.
top 10 selling albums. There's only one West Coast artist in there, and it's Tupac, and he's been dead for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's no West Coast. It's Chicken and Beer. It's Chingy. Moved on.
Right.
Moved on. And all the top people are infusing West Coast stuff. But you know, they're not paying tribute. So the game is an opportunity for the West Coast to link backwards to its NWA past, because he definitely has the NWA screw face to his stuff.
Yeah.
But it also allows them a way forward with the kind of G Unit style production.
Mm-hmm.
Because Game is such a hip hop head that he loves all these guys. That's one of the reasons he won't adopt the beefs, right? 50 is looking at this like the market, right? I want the market.
Right.
Game is looking at this like, nah, man, I love Fat Joe. I love Big L. I love Nas. Like, I don't want to beef with these people.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just different. And it's a very urgent album. It's a very daring album. The title track is Game being drunk and Busta Rhymes like trying to get him home and into bed. And the Game like musing on his life from a drunken stupor. It's who would do how many people do that? That's nuts.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just so conflicted with Game. I mean, I think technically he's there. Okay, he's got a couple strong points. One, he's a good rapper. I can't say that. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's not a good rapper. And secondly, it's almost eerie how good of a mimic he is. Like the first song on the album, like I thought, what I was listening to, I was like, why is it? I thought he didn't work with Dr. Dre on this. It literally took me a minute to recognize that was him.
Right.
And I mean, I've not like it's extraordinary how close he can get to people's flow, and so there's a certain level of intelligence behind it, but he's also like at the same time did you get those, how do I say this without being disrespectful to Game, because I would never want to disrespect Game because I love him. He's got like a serious man crush on Jay-Z.
No question. And I wish that were his worst trait. It's just not. Like he's got like Wouldn't Get Far. Wouldn't Get Far doesn't age well. The thing about Wouldn't Get Far, nobody slut shames like the Game.
That was my second point. That's very,
he'll yell stuff, and it's like he has this laundry list of like the sexual habits of these women, and it's not with him. He's like, did you know like Hoops, who competed on Flavor of Love season 2, will fuck you if you have money? I'm like, who cares, bud? What are you talking about? Like he will yell out stuff like, you know, she fucks, and it'll be like, yeah, we all do, dude. It's okay. It's all right. Like,
and that's what, yeah. And it'd be like you're into a song, and then they'll get, and it's almost kind of like Big Sean, but a lot more mean spirited though.
totally.
You know what I mean? Like out of nowhere, like he'll be rapping about something, and then I think he had like a line about Beyonce in it, like, have you ever, and this was before, obviously Beyonce before she married Jay, because I mean, it would have been done for him after that if they were married. But even still, like he didn't even know her, and he just random song on the album, he just came out with that Beyonce line, like he had to get it out.
Yeah, I mean, beyond, yes. I mean, there's a level where this is just not a good way to think about people or talk to people. But
Right.
artistically, you sit back and you go, why are we talking about this game? What is this?
Yeah.
Because he'll say like, I never fucked Superhead, but I know people who did. I'm like, what are we talking about, game? What are we talking about right now? So he sluts people like crazy, and it's totally okay that women have sex, and it's not with him. It's fine. Like, I don't understand that, but he has a thing with it, and he certainly has a thing with Jay. But it's
It's I've never heard someone want someone else's love so bad. Like it almost breaks my heart how much he just wants to be accepted and acknowledged by Jay-Z so bad. And that's all he wants. He just wants, it just sounds like he just wants a shout out from him, like, hey man, you're doing a good job. So like it's just weird, like,
yeah.
and I can understand, like, and he has the kind of same thing with Dre, but at least I can make the connection between him and Dre. But the love that he has for Jay-Z I need more backstory about that. I need to understand what exactly is going on, because this is not like a one-time thing. He mentions Jay-Z at least 3 or 4 times.
Oh yeah. And it's one of the great things about rap music is that you, through the course of an album, you really get to know what's weird about people. Because there's a lot of verses to do, right? I mean, if you keep mentioning lemon meringue pie all the time, we're just like, dude, what's up with juvenile and lemon meringue pie? Like, it becomes right?
Right.
And with the game, that's a thing. It is. But he's, I don't know, man. Old English, I think, is the best game song ever. If there's a strength to the game,
Okay.
his audio Screwface is fantastic.
Absolutely.
He can make anthems, like fight club style anthems, fight music, because he means it. He can get in a zone, and he'll give you one blood, or God, the other great game like anthem is Ali Boumaier.
Ali Boumaier. Which one is that? Which album is that off of?
On Jesus Piece. It has
Okay.
2 Chainz and it has somebody else on it. It's just fucking great. And it may be Kanye, I don't know, but it's like, it's one of those mind throttling, like, yeah, like he has that kind of audio testosterone going.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that.
And he is audio testosterone, and the bad game albums are when the audio testosterone runs out.
Mm.
And he's deflated, right?
Mm.
Doctor's Advocate is his best album because it's all adrenaline, man. It's all adrenaline.
Yeah.
This was like at a point in time where he was recording mixtape diss songs and like saying, I hate you motherfuckers so much I can't even rap anymore, and throwing the microphone on the ground. It was just no one does this shit. Like, it was special. He was the first, this is my admission, he was the first rapper I ever bought shoes of.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I bought Game Hurricanes.
I didn't even know he had his own shoe.
He did Hurricanes, and I had him until the cat threw up in him. What are you gonna do? But he, but you also here's the postscript here because yeah, we've got 50 has the plan to shut him down. The plan backfires. The West surrounds him.
Mhm.
People who are risking their shit, like help him.
Mhm.
Scott Storch was potentially risking his shit by
Yeah.
giving beats. He's had placements with 50. He had placements with these people. Busta was risking shit. All these people were risking something
Right.
by being on this, and they did. They did this for this dude. And because they did, because he was the only major charting West Coast dude for a period of time, there's a bunch of people who hold him in high regard and reverence. You can't say shit about the game to Kendrick or Schoolboy because when they turned on the radio, he was the only dude from Compton.
I never thought of it like that, but you're right. I mean, he was kind of that bridge from, the West Coast music in the 90s to, the TDE era that we're in right now.
The TDE kind of Nipsey,
Yep.
YG, like
Yep.
it's so he's important. He's an important part of history, and he
Oh, that's a good point, man.
Goliath, man. That's and when it's an important thing, the West Coast didn't let him die, right? That's an important thing. Uh, all, everybody's on here and everybody's doing great work. Be wary when you hear someone who's doing criticism of rap music say that regions don't matter anymore. It's just the internet.
No.
Be wary of it. It's not just that they're wrong, it's that they're deceptive.
Okay.
What they seek to do with this is like a McDonaldization of the music. They want to neuter it of its native culture
Mm-hmm.
and make it homogenous.
Mm.
Right? It does. Can you imagine saying it doesn't matter that DJ Screw was in Houston, like on syrup, like creating this? That it doesn't matter that it was him and Little Kiki, Little Pokey, and Slim Thug all in Houston making this happen. It doesn't matter. It absolutely fucking matters.
Yeah.
It absolutely matters. And Houston went through the same thing where they took the sound and just said, we don't need Mike Jones for this. We can do this on our own. And they just took it and interpolated it, and you got people from New York over Houston beats. And I'm sure those New York artists A&Rs were saying regions don't matter because it was important that their artists didn't get held against that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you.
It's a little it's a relative of cultural appropriation isn't a thing. It's a relative of that.
Yeah, I mean, because once it leaves the region, it becomes diluted. You know what I mean? Like
I think the best comparison would be I've heard people say that a culture, like when you move and immigrate, a culture really is as strong as its food traditions passing down.
wow.
And once you've lost the ability to, you know, do these recipes, these old country recipes, once they die, they die. You're just making the shit everyone else is making. You're on Pinterest.
Right. Because you lose the meaning, you lose, it's like, you know, people know how to do things. They're like, whenever you're creating something, there's two elements to it. There's the how and the why. And you, obviously, like when these things leave the region, when the sound leaves the region, people know how to make that sound. It's not really, there's no like secrets into how to make the sound, but people don't understand the intention or the why behind it. So it loses the element of the why behind it when you don't consider that. You know what I mean? That aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, its very definition is created in the region.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it can grow outside of that. Sure, trap's growing outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
But don't ever let anybody forget who started it and where it started.
Well,
Right?
Good point.
Don't ever let anybody say it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, whoa.
Oh, shoot. Can you?
So, yeah, I think that's that for me, man. I'm going to be listening to the discography of John Prine since he passed away. I am
Okay.
albums deep, and I will keep everyone up to date on that shit.
Yep.
Go to the Free Music Empire playlist. I'm updating it pretty regularly with weird new shit, and we'll keep on topics, man.
Absolutely, man.
Peace.
Peace.